Right. Most importantly of all, am I coming through loud and clear? Because my mic was acting a bit funny before. So let me know. Am I coming through loud and clear? I hope so. Scary moments. Am I coming through? So yeah, seems to sound good. That's good. Okay. That's all. That's all that matters. Yeah, the audio on StreamYard, it wasn't really something like it wasn't really correlating with what I was saying for some reason. StreamYard's a bit of a fuck up at the best of times. But if I'm coming through loud and clear, that's all good. Apologies for everybody who tuned in last night at midnight for the stream, especially if you're in the UK. I know it's a late start. I just fell asleep. I'm not gonna lie. I just fell asleep. Um, yeah, I mean, it got to like 11:30. I'd not had. I usually try and have like a power nap at some point in the evening, um, and I didn't because I just couldn't get to sleep. And then 11:30, I'd scheduled for midnight. I did set an alarm if I fell asleep, but I just didn't. It didn't wake me up. And next thing you know, it was like 2 a.m. So I scheduled for 3 a.m. thinking, you know what, I'll just try and stream at 3 a.m. And I was like, this isn't a good idea. I'm not in the right frame of mind. So, so I just cancelled that stream immediately and went to bed. And I thought, yeah, I'll just fuck it. I'll just do it for the next night, um, which is probably for the best. Um, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, apologies for anyone who tuned in last night and was disappointed. I know JT tuned in, and JT's with me now. I'll bring him on in a minute. Um, so yeah. Once again, apologies, but I didn't leave you waiting a week. I'm here next night. I am in work tomorrow as well, so I'm doing this on a school night, so to speak. So early start for me tomorrow, but fuck it. YouTube comes first. You guys come first. So yeah, I'll just bring in JT now because yeah, got a few things to discuss. A little film trailer dropped yesterday, which some of you may be aware of, I'm sure. So I'll just bring in JT now. So JT, what's up, man?
What's up, man?
So good, all good, all good. Coming through loud and clear.
You hear me good? I don't see me on the. Now I do. Now we're good.
Okay, there's probably a slight delay.
Yeah, it usually is.
StreamYard. It's probably StreamYard. It's probably internet connection. And
Yeah, it could be a million different things. But yeah, thanks. I was waiting. I waited all night. You didn't show up.
I know.
I
I do.
stayed up all night just for you. You never came.
No. It's just one thing. You know what? It's like
Exactly.
the thing with like when I started my channel, I was kind of just in a kind of group of like guys from the East Coast of America, really. Just like going on Pizz's streams, doing his Patreons, and got involved with a load of you guys from like the East Coast, sort of like that Eastern time zone. So when I decided to start doing a channel, I thought the best chance of getting any sort of traction in the comment sections doing live streams was to tailor it to a late night start to get that early evening time zone in the US.
Yeah, exactly. That way you can keep both audiences.
Yeah, if I was to live stream at 7 p.m. UK time, I'd probably get less people watching. I'd get obviously the guys who tune in from the UK and Ireland like Sean and Anthony. I'm guessing they're like night owls. They seem to be up at all hours anyway.
That's how I am usually. I sleep like 3-4 hours a night. Maybe I don't go to bed till like 4 or 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I sleep for like 3 hours, wake up, work, and then just be done.
Yeah. So that's I mean, it suits me as well because like streaming. If I try to stream at 7 p.m., it's it's not a lot of shit going on. People coming in and going. You know, you can't really do a
Yeah.
peaceful stream without people coming and going, and like people like interrupting you. You stream at midnight, everyone's in bed, so
Yeah, they ain't going nowhere.
it suits me, you know. It suits me.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's when I do my videos for the most part is at night. Like I'll start watching movies at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock p.m. And then by like 1, 2 in the morning, I'll just knock out 3, 4 videos.
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to work out how I became aware of your channel. I don't know whether you just popped up randomly in the algorithms, or I
It
think
wouldn't
it
surprise me. I pop up randomly everywhere, so makes
like we
sense.
was like we were saying in Twitter, you know, in the DMs before. It's
Hey,
kind
Dave,
of
what's up? Sorry,
it's
Mike.
it's oh yeah, okay. Dave the hero. He's a new guy to me. Is he one of your subs?
Yeah, yeah. He's
Okay,
awesome.
I don't know Dave. What's up, Dave? Nice to
Dave,
see
Mike, Dave.
you. Yeah, like we were talking in the DMs before. You know, it's kind of a bit of a mystery to me how the algorithms that YouTube work.
Yeah,
Because like I say, you know, I did just random Jeepers Creepers live commentary last year, and like barely anyone watched it. But then over the following months, it kind of gained a bit of traction. And then the last 3 months, the last 2 months, it's gained like 1,500 views.
yeah.
And
It's
I've
it's crazy how that
no
works.
idea why.
That's
No
what I,
idea why.
that's what I was telling you with my Cannibal Holocaust video I did like 2 months ago. And it was like 150 views, 180 views, and then stopped, stalled at that. And then like 2 weeks ago, I check it, and like within 3 days, it was over 1,000. Now it's at like 6,000 views. Why Cannibal Holocaust to that video? I have no fucking idea. Like, but whatever, I'll take it. It doesn't.
Yeah,
The views to the view ratio to subs and stuff is so big anyway, so it doesn't matter really. Like if you have 6,000 views on a video, maybe especially like you do your live streams at an hour and stuff. I do long videos. Maybe like 3, 5% of people are watching the whole thing.
yeah.
Like
I,
maybe.
I've always said that the the views are kind of a super. I'm trying to think of the right word. Maybe the views are kind of like a real indication of how well your channel's doing. The subs is kind of. I think when you're at our level, the subs is an important thing because
Yeah.
it does help push the channel. But once you get to a certain level, if you've got like 50,000, 100,000 subscribers, I would say maybe 5 to 10% are active viewers of
Yeah.
your channel.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
the more subscribers you get, the less percentage of people actually watching your stuff. Like
Mhm.
I've seen YouTube channels with they've got like a couple of thousand, 3,000 subscribers, and there'll be like 3 people watching live.
Yeah,
And
that's what happens. A lot of people like that they just hear views and they think, "Oh shit, I got this many thousand views." Like it's like that don't mean everybody's watching.
yeah,
You know, autoplay exists. Like
yeah,
a video somebody cares about finishes, your video starts, then that counts as a view. But then that person goes, "What the fuck? I don't want to watch this fucking person," and and they go on to the next one, and that makes up a lot of views, and a lot of people don't take that into consideration.
I think another thing, an important point as well. It's just because I do sort of like mainly do live streams. I am trying to make more content in terms of like away from live streams.
Mm,
But is the bigger your channel gets, when if you are doing live streams, as the chat grows, if the chat grows to the point where you feel like you're not going to be acknowledged in the chat by the person you're watching, you
yeah.
move away. You may move away a little bit, maybe from the live stream. You might watch it on catch up, but one of the great things about being a small YouTuber is in the live chat, you can literally have a dialogue with everybody in the chat.
Yeah, you don't have
When
it
that,
scrolling at 100 miles an hour. You can't
yeah,
answer
I mean,
everybody.
we've all been on live streams, like watch live streams where you've literally got to pay to
Oh
get that
yeah,
across. which is, I mean, it's if you're if you're a big YouTuber and you're getting paid for that, it's great. But you are losing that, like that interaction that
That
you gain.
intimacy with that you can the interaction that you can have with
Yeah,
your
you,
audience
you,
and stuff, of
yeah,
course.
yeah, because you do feel like when you do start a channel and you're a small level, everybody's kind of like a personal friend almost, because even though
Yeah,
I don't know anybody personally. I've never met anybody physically,
yeah.
and I've met only a few people through YouTube in videos. But there's people in the chat like Sean and like Anthony, Big T. I've never spoke to even through video, but I consider them like friends because I know that they're kind of like coming at things from the same way I come at things. So I know that if I went down to like a pub, bar, whatever, and we just started up a conversation, I know that we get on well.
No, yeah,
You know?
exactly.
It's like it's like
They wouldn't be here if they
yeah,
like
exactly.
if they didn't see some type of relatability in you or
Yeah,
any type of person that someone follows on YouTube, you know?
that's the good thing. I mean, it's like I could walk into like a bar or whatever, a shop. I could walk right past you, not know who you are,
Yeah.
but if we started talking, whatever reason, and we just got onto the subject of like films or whatever, then we start up a dialogue, and then the next thing we're like, it's that's the good thing about the way StreamYard and YouTube works is you can just
Yeah.
you gain a sort of like a friendship with people you'd never meet previously.
Well, that's
But
actually why and it's similar, I guess, with you because you do all the live streams. That's why I do my channel the way I do is just like talking into a webcam. That's all. That's it. I don't edit. I don't put clips in and stuff. And yeah, I'm lazy a bit. I'll admit it. But it feels more personal. You know,
yeah,
like it feels more like you're just hanging out chatting with a friend
yeah. I
about
mean,
movies and stuff.
I can't edit. I can't edit. I can't. I'm very
I can't
very
really either.
like I'm 46, so I can barely operate a computer. I can
Yeah.
barely. I don't know how to edit. I don't know. All I know how to. I can barely operate a webcam. So it's pretty like raw what I do.
Yeah.
I'm never.
Same here.
I'm too long in the tooth to be learning new tricks. So I can probably upgrade to a better computer, but I'm never going to be the sort of guy who can put together like an immaculate video with editing and
Yeah. No, I'm the same way.
but it is what it is. I mean, I do think that that's one of the reasons why I do like some of these. A lot of the new this horror YouTube of the month thing. Which, by the way, if anybody's not nominated, go to my channel, scroll down a few videos. You'll see the video to vote for either JT and Video Tasties, Savage Zombie Reviews, and Horror Lives Matter. So there's no
All great
biases.
channels.
Exactly. Just go along, make a nomination, but most importantly, subscribe to all 4 channels. 'Cause like you say, your channel's grown. Yeah, I think you've like doubled your subs in the last couple of
Yeah.
months.
In the
I
last
mean,
month. In the last month.
yeah,
Ever s Yeah, ever since, and I said thank you because your video definitely helped with that, because I was sitting at, like, 85 subs or something like that, and I'm close to 160 now, a month later. Like, I think I was at, like, 3.5 thousand total views a month ago. I'm at, like, 17,000 now.
yeah,
So it's gaining traction, I guess, if you could say that. But
yeah. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
I'd never even heard of this YouTube of the
I'm
month.
Me neither, yeah. I still don't really know what it is, so it's
I
just a
mean,
name to me.
I don't know how far back it goes. I mean, Dan from Flesh Room Features, he nominated me about 3 months ago, and that double like that whole thing like doubled. I mean, I was on like 50 subs, so I've like more than doubled my subs since I got nominated.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how far back it goes. I mean, I'm literally that was my first introduction to the whole thing. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know where it goes, where it resonates from. I mean, I don't know how many people have won it, but whoever came up with the idea, man, it's like it's a good thing, you know.
No, it's a
Good.
good thing. Definitely a good thing. It helps push channels, give them a little more attention, and definitely a good idea. Whoever did start it. So you don't know who started it?
No idea.
All right, so it's a mystery we got to solve. We got to work our way back through every winner till we
Literally,
find out.
yeah,
We find out which person originated it.
you would literally have to just keep going back, move,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Been there for a long time.
Then we find out it's been around 10 years, and we get a year back. We're like, fuck it, I'm not going back 10 years to find out. Let it stay a mystery.
Anyway, so let's just get into the. I'm assuming you've seen the Halloween Ends, sorry, final trailer.
I actually just saw it before we went live.
Okay,
Because
so
I usually don't watch trailers, because I don't like things being spoiled for me. Like in any way, like I just like going in blind, and that's what
yeah,
most forms of entertainment. But like,
I was kind of like, go on.
good.
I was going to say I know Chris doesn't like to be spoiled, and I know he's working tonight, but he was going to try and jump on briefly. But I know he doesn't like to be spoiled with trailers and stuff, so I wasn't sure whether he'd jump on anyway. But
Yeah.
in terms of like, I mean, I always say to myself, I'm gonna stay away from trailers, but I always end up just caving in and just watching anyway. But I'm not overly like excited for this film, to be honest with you.
Me neither.
I don't think this trailer has done it.
Which is why I didn't mind watching the trailer for this, because I didn't care for. I mean, 2018 it was all right. Halloween Kills, I don't really even remember it. Like I was like half asleep when I put it on and watched it finally. I remember little bits and pieces, but it didn't do much for me. So like I don't really have that big of expectations for this movie. So watching the trailer for it, I did like the little head turn nod to the original.
Yeah, yeah.
That was cool seeing that.
I did like the mashup between Laurie from '78 in the doorway.
Yeah. That was cool. There was some cool things in the trailer actually. But how that's going to reflect on the movie as a whole, I have no idea.
I mean, they threw in a couple of spoiler kills. You know, a couple of kills.
I saw some of those.
So we basically know that woman's going to die.
That's why I don't like trailers. Is like when they show stuff like that. When they like really ruin a movie, like by showing way too much. Not saying this trailer did, but like trailers that do that give just like everything away. And at that point, it's like I just saw the movie. Like, there's no reason to go see it
now. Let me just plug my laptop in because it is going very nearly dead. Just give me 2 seconds.
And thank you, Dave. And no, I haven't seen X yet. I'm looking for it online somewhere that I can find it. But it's definitely at the top of the list. X and Pearl. I want to watch both of those. So after seeing The Innkeepers again, then I actually watched House of the Devil like the night after that, just because I was in a Ty West mood after The Innkeepers. So those are like on the next ones on the list to watch.
Well, we can move over to Ty West in a little bit if you want. He's kind of like the in name at the moment. When it comes to horror.
Yeah.
You know,
well, he's got the two movies in 1 year that he released that apparently most people are loving and putting in their top 10s and everything.
Jamie's in the chat. What's up, Jamie?
Hey, Jamie.
Yeah, going back to Halloween Kills briefly. Well, we'll stay on it for a while, obviously.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the main topic of conversation for a lot of people. This whole idea of bringing this Corey Cunningham character into it. He's like the new guy who, at the beginning of the trailer, gets choked by Michael. A lot of people are saying he's going to be like a copycat Michael Myers. Because clearly at the beginning of the trailer he gets choked by Michael, but we know he survives being captured. So why does he survive the encounter?
Yeah, you shouldn't survive in an encounter with Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Unless you're Jamie Lee Curtis.
There's a scene just after that in the trailer where you see Michael turn and look towards. I can't remember who he's looking at, but the feeling I got that wasn't Michael. That was somebody with Michael's mask on, and I think it was called
kind of like a H2O paramedic ending type thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you look towards the end of the trailer and you've got Laurie there, and you see her trying to pull Michael's mask off, even though the H2O universe doesn't exist in this universe, it suggests that maybe she's unsure whether this is Michael itself and not an imposter by, making sure taking the mask off to finish the job. Why they going down this route with an imposter? Well, I'm assuming it's an imposter, Michael Myers. This character's been brought in. I don't know why they're bringing in this character at the end of a trilogy. It seems like a bit of a strange decision to me.
It seems like something they would have set up.
Yeah,
at least in Kills, if not near the end of 2018. Like just to have it set up a bit and not just be brought up out of nowhere in the third part of a trilogy.
Yeah, I honestly don't understand. I'd be curious to know whenabouts they thought of bringing this, because I've got a strong suspicion that after Kills, this character wasn't even a thing. I could be wrong, but this feels a little bit of a strange decision.
Definitely, if that's the way they're going with a copycat, for sure, it definitely doesn't feel like an organic way to go with this. But this, let's be honest, this franchise hasn't felt organic for like 20 something years now. Like, I love Halloween's my second favorite movie of all time. It was the first horror movie I ever saw at like 5-6 years old. It's what got me into horror. So that's like a perfect film to me. Halloween 2, I enjoy. I don't like the brother and sister thing. We talked about that on the stream with everybody else and stuff. Season of the Witch I love. 4 I actually really like. 5 I don't care for. 6 I really like. After that, it's all just a mixed bag for me. I actually really like Zombies H2, which is a usually unpopular opinion. I love that movie. He is brutal in that movie, and it's a great slasher film.
I like that movie more than the first zombie Halloween film. I like it a lot more.
Yeah, than the Zombies first one.
I just didn't care for white trash Michael Myers.
That's just how he doesn't know how to get out of that style at this point.
Zombies, every character in the zombie movie is white trash. For me, Michael Myers is a respectable middle-class neighborhood, respectable middle-class parents. Yep. This idea, the whole skull fucking and
I know it's You would think that of all the major franchises he would have directed, it would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, definitely.
But after, like, I love the remake. The 03 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of my favorite remakes of like 2000s forward. So since we have that remake, I wouldn't even want to see a zombie remake of Texas Chainsaw now. But like before all of that, like when we first heard that he was going to be, directing Halloween, I think everybody was pretty shocked by that. Like, really? Halloween zombie's going to do? Like, he seems better fit for Texas Chainsaw. But I mean, I love House of a Thousand Corpses. It's a great movie. I have a lot of like nostalgia with my first few watches of it. And I love Devil's Rejects. I think is an even better film. I like House more, but I think Devil's is his best movie. And then after that, it's just been pretty much hit or miss, and then just straight downhill after that. His last few movies have been not good at all.
I mean, I think Devil's Rejects is he's kind of been on a downwards. I mean, most people would say, I think, Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects are like the high points of his career. Yeah. And they're like his earliest films. He's kind of been on a downward trajectory a little bit. I mean, although I would say Lords of Salem, I think, is his worst film.
I think it was ambitious, but it just didn't hit the marks he was trying to hit with it.
Yeah. I mean, briefly going back to his Halloween franchise, I just not only the white trash Michael Myers, which kind of grated on me a little bit, but the idea of Michael is just this like, you take this normal sort of like looking small blonde kid, and he just turns into this 7 foot brown haired monster. It's like Michael just it's like it just seems to become a thing with the Halloween franchise. Like Michael just got bigger and bigger and bigger as each film got on. The great thing about the original Halloween film is Michael is a normal man. He's
Yeah.
he's normal sized. He's just got superhuman strength. And as each film went on, it literally to the point of Rob Zombie movies, like Michael Myers is like 7 feet tall. It's a little bit.
He's like a giant now.
It's like how can you blend into the background when you're 7 feet tall?
Yeah, exactly.
With the
Like
original
imagine the Michael we have now popping out from behind the bush of the original Halloween.
You'd see his fucking head over the.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, Annie would be like, I don't see anybody. It's like, you're fucking lying. Because there's no way you can miss this guy.
There's the fucking Big Show there with a mask on.
Yeah, exactly. You don't see the mask popping over the bushes like that 8 foot tall guy. No, all right.
It's just like it was just.
Yeah, they went crazy. I mean, Jason pretty much did the same thing, but he just went in like the dead route.
But
he just became a zombie pretty much.
Well, at least if you're a zombie, you can kind of maybe once you've become a zombie, you've kind of gone past you've kind of jumped the shark anyway. So it doesn't really matter. But Michael has okay. I know it's a horror movie. I know Michael's meant to be superhuman, but it is meant to be the same. It just felt a bit. He just seemed to get bigger and bigger in each film, and I just was a bit. I just like the old school Michael. Like 6'1", 6'2" at tops.
Oh, nothing beats Nick Castle for me. And just, I mean, a lot of it could be nostalgia just because, like I said, it was the first horror movie I ever saw. And I've seen it probably an unhealthy amount of times by this point in my life. But, I mean, just the mask alone in that movie, in the first one, the best mask in the franchise. I don't know why they have such issues with the mask. Like in 4 or an H2O, it's just some masks just don't look good. Like you would think that if you were Carpenter and you made this independent film in 1978 and it ended up blowing up and becoming so big, and like I think at the time, right, it was the biggest independent film, highest grossing of all time, wasn't it?
Yeah, for a long time. I think it might have been Blair Witch Project, which finally.
Yeah. I think that might have been that or Scream.
Yeah, maybe.
I think might have been the ones that beat it. But like, if I was Carpenter and I saw like this movie blowing up, and like you can see that there's a possibility of a sequel, you call that William Shatner mask company up and you order 1,000 of those masks. What is that? It's a drop in the bucket compared to what this movie made or anything like that. And that way you have 1,000 of these masks. So that way, if a sequel did happen, which it did, and look where we are now, you'd have the same mask that looks the same, that looks scary as shit when painted white like that. It looks great, and it would be a lot more consistent.
Well, I'm not entirely I'm not entirely sure on this, but there was an issue with the Shatner mask after the films came out. With when like whoever had the image rights for William Shatner or whatever, the mask, did they not try and sue?
I'm not sure.
There was some sort of issue with the mask where I think they were making a claim against the film company saying that you've taken this William Shatner mask and
like turned it evil or something.
I'm no expert. I remember there be some sort of thing with it. Now I can't remember entirely what it was, but I was always led to believe that was why in movies going forward they had to tweak it. Now I could be wrong, but I know Lorne's in the chat. He'll probably
he'll probably know. But then also too, you got to play too. Like same with all of the killers in all these movies. Like Jason's look changing in every movie. it's also, the director's vision, the person doing the makeup and stuff. They're all going to add their own little, tweaks and flourishes and stuff to it. So you can't expect the same exact thing every single time. But I feel like they could have been a little more consistent with the mask throughout. How many films are we at now? 14, 15. And like the mask in 4, they have that one scene where it's fucking pink. Like it's like a quick shot of like a few second shot, but it's like a full on pink mask. And it takes me out of that movie every single time for a few seconds when I see that. I don't know what that was about.
Was it a comment in the chat? I think from Big T.
The 5 mask is bad too, Sean.
Yeah, Big T asks Mike and JT, what franchise would you like to see take the torch for a while after ends? So I'm guessing he means what horror franchise. Well, I'm going to be biased and say Friday the 13th, obviously.
I was going to say the same.
It's 13 fucking years for a movie, so
yeah, that's pretty much it. The Texas Chainsaw has been done for me for a while. Like anything after, like the beginning was all right. After the beginning, I didn't care for Texas Chainsaw 3D. I didn't care for Leatherface at all. I didn't care for this new one that came out this year. So that's got to stop. But and then, like you said, we haven't had a Friday movie in so long because of this friggin' lawsuit and everything. But the reboot, I didn't care for at all. The remake of Friday the 13th. So I don't know, and I can't think of a way for them to continue that, like the main storyline from like the first 10 movies, because Jason like went to Earth 2 at the end. So they'd have to I don't know what they would do to continue that same storyline from the first movie onwards.
Well, that's nice. It's actually a nice little segue, actually, because I did want to talk about Friday the 13th and where it goes next, and obviously forget all the legal troubles. If we can just pretend that they don't exist, and let's just if we just imagine that let's just imagine that there is no legal issues. We can have whoever we want directing, whatever time we can do whatever we want with the film. Like, what would we have going forward with the next Friday the 13th movie? Because personally, I'm not entirely sure. I'd set it in the 80s, but I'm not entirely sure at what point in Jason's life I'd set it. I think I'd have Jason already established as a character who is known in the area.
Yeah, like a local legend kind of.
Yeah, somebody who did drown, drown in allegedly, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But someone who has come back and has gone on a bit of a rampage and has disappeared again. So maybe in that sort of Halloween free time zone.
Yeah, you can kind of since you mentioned like that. I mean, look at I just saw Jeepers Creepers Reborn. 3 took place in between 1 and 2, so they can do something like that with Friday. Have it take place between 2 of the chapters in there. That's one way they can go and kind of keep it in that same narrative universe as the first 10 movies. Just have it take place in between, because we time jump a lot with that series. It kind of lines up by the end of the final chapter, but then we jump ahead. Got at least 10 years with Tommy Jarvis growing up and going into the mental fucking house for 5, and then jumps ahead another 10 or something years with Tina in 7, when she's a kid and telekinetically kills her father by accident, and then she's growing up. So who knows what year we're supposed to be in, with that original whole.
Yeah, it's always a bit. It's a bit of a blur, that the whole timeline for the Friday the 13th franchise in the 80s is just I think by the 7th film it's going to be the mid 90s, even though nobody's got the 90s technology or anything.
No one has anything they should have. Yeah, exactly.
But I mean,
with 5, they did it with 7.
I would definitely like to see a return to the 80s for for the Friday the 13th. Just
Oh
like
yeah.
I think we've seen this discussion before, just to erase the problem with cell phones and just I just
I mean, that's people.
I
People
mean, it
love
just
our. We love our technology, but that's one thing it did mess up is fucking horror movies because now they
yeah,
now that's the whole thing, and for 20 years now, it's just like, oh, what
it
about
just
cell
made
phones? They could have called for help, or like with the whole found footage genre and stuff. Why are they still filming and stuff with the cameras? Like back then, you didn't have to worry about any of that because it didn't exist. Like people couldn't use cell phones to call. Oh shit, Jason's here trying to get us. Yeah, cell phones. They didn't have to worry about it, which is why that does sound good. Just having it take place back in the 80s, which, like I said, you could put it right in the middle of like 5 and 6, maybe, or 6 and 7. Have it take place between those.
you could even like just like do an alternate universe where it's just like
Yeah, that too.
nothing. You know what I mean? It's just like anything's possible. We're talking about like a slasher film. It's not like we have to really sort of like stick to
Yeah, the
so
logic really at all.
there's no logic in the franchise anyway. So he's gone to
Of course.
space. He's been taken over by a fucking worm or whatever. Well, he always was a worm. That just went too far for me. I mean, I just that was just. I mean, I love the that for me is when for me the franchise is it, for me the Friday the 13th franchise is 80 to 89. It's those eight
Yeah.
movies. I
Well,
just
that's
anything I can have fun with it, but I don't really acknowledge it as a Friday movie.
yeah, because those are the 8 that I grew up with. I grew
Yeah,
up seeing because right after Halloween was my first horror movie I ever saw. Friday was the next, and I saw the whole series, and that was the only 8. Those were the ones they never played 9 on Jason Goes to Hell on TV, like never. So those first 8 are just very nostalgic to me. So same as you. It's like those first 8 is the Friday series basically. Anything after that is just like a fun little bonus if it's fun, like Jason X. Jason Goes to Hell, actually, when I rewatched it when I was just covering the series, it's a terrible Friday film. Yeah, it's actually not that bad of a body horror film. It's really not. There's some good gore in there. There's some good effects by K&B in there, like Greg Nicotero and Kurtzman and everything. Great effects. I mean, there's some stupid shit like most of these movies, but it's really not that bad if you don't look at it as a Friday movie, which is not that hard to do since Jason's not in the movie, like 90% of it. So it's easier to like distance it from the Friday universe. But that's my take on it. I thought it was on that rewind because I was surprised because the last time I saw Jason Goes to Hell was years and years ago, and, and I hated it. I always hated it. But for some reason, maybe just because I was just looking at it from a different way and just trying to, like, all right, I know Jason's not in this movie. Like, he's in the beginning, he's in a mirror once or twice, and then he's at the end, and that's it. So then once I got that, what if this wasn't a Friday movie? What if this like just change the name Voorhees and Jason and just pretend all that shit has nothing to do with the movie and that it's a completely like different characters? And then watching it like that, it actually kind of worked for me as like a body horror movie, like I said. But as a Friday movie, it's absolutely terrible.
I mean the best thing about the movie, which I mean I'm being kind because I'm not a fan of the film, but the best thing about the movie at the time was the teasing of Freddy versus Jason. You know, the final
Oh
scene
yeah,
with the curtain, but and then we had to wait. What was it? 10 years, I think,
oh
for that
yeah.
movie to come out.
They were supposed to do Freddy vs. Jason for part 7, like the
Yeah,
Kane's first movie. And then they couldn't get the rights and everything figured out and everything with New Line or something like that. And then they ended up like coming up with the idea of the psychic girl for Jason to go against. So then they couldn't get it for the next movie, and let's take them to Manhattan. They couldn't do Freddy versus Jason. The next one, send him to hell, and then send him to space. And then they finally were able to do it. But they were trying to do it since 7. And the fact that Ronnie Yu didn't cast Kane Hodder in Freddy versus Jason, I'll never forgive him for that. Like, that was such a shitty move. Like, this guy's been waiting since 7, so when he started as Jason. He's been waiting to fight Freddy on screen. And then after 4 movies, and he was like the most popular Jason, like among like just like even the casual Friday fans. And then you pick somebody else like to go up against Freddy. I don't know. That always rubbed me the wrong way that Kane Hodder was kind of screwed out of that role.
And the ironic thing is, it's the guy who replaced him as the guy who threw across the counter in Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah. They had
like,
in Hatchet 3. They have Derek Mears going up, who played him in the reboot, going up against Kane as Victor Crowley.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's cool how it all kind of links together a little bit,
Dan's in the chat. What's up? Dan's just interviewed Art the Clown.
Hey, Dan. And I love Art the Clown. I actually just finished rewatching Terrifier.
Terrifier 2. When does Terrifier 2 drop? Is it next month, is it? It's going to be in October, right?
Pretty sure. Yeah, it is. Because I know a friend of mine who saw it already. He got early access to see it.
Is that going to a streaming service? It's obviously not going to go to cinema. So is it going to cinema? Surely not.
That I don't think so.
I can't imagine Terrifier being shown.
Yeah.
No, it's got a limited theatrical release.
Yeah, that was the most I could see it having.
Yeah, I mean, in my regular multiplex, I couldn't see Terrifier 2 going down too well with the regular folk who go to cinemas.
Yeah, no, I mean,
slightly shocked.
Look at the kill. Look at that crazy kill in the first one with the girl.
Oh, yeah,
that ain't going over with regular theater goers.
No, definitely not. It's just that scene was like, I don't know if it still is, but it was on like YouTube, just uncut. It's like some of the shit on YouTube. It's YouTube's a weird place. YouTube will like censor stuff. YouTube will if you've got like an unpopular opinion about something, they'll take your channel or they'll take your video down. But extreme violence is they're okay with that. It's just like it's just a weird one with YouTube. I remember the uncut version of Serbian Film was on YouTube for about 2 years. Literally, not the normal version, the uncut version.
Yeah,
it was just like, this is insane. It's like I cannot. I mean, that's how I saw the film, and it's traumatized me ever since. But I was like, I cannot believe this. It's like this hasn't been reported.
Yeah, exactly. That's on YouTube and shit. But then they'll take down stuff for the stupidest reasons.
Yeah. I mean, if like, oh, we don't like that, or some stupid little copyright thing, if stuff gets taken down, it's just like,
yeah, exactly.
YouTube. I mean, I don't want to rant about YouTube too much. I mean, I do. I've got to like give them some respect. That's how I'm interacting with everybody. Well, okay, I'm using StreamYard, but through YouTube. That's how I've got to meet all you guys. But I do miss the wild west of YouTube, like 10 years ago, where anything went. It wasn't corporate.
Oh yeah, completely different when it first started.
All the crazy shit I used to watch on YouTube back in the day, like all the conspiracy stuff, and like they've all gone. I mean, there was literally channels on YouTube who had like millions of subscribers.
With conspiracy theories and stuff. I love that type of stuff.
It wasn't even edgy stuff. It wasn't even edgy conspiracy stuff. It was just literally run like a list of top 10 conspiracies. They weren't even promoting the conspiracy theories. They tell us they'd say like what the conspiracy theory was, and then offer a subjective take on it. And go, well, it's probably not true because of this, that, and the other. Yeah. They were still those channels still went. They still got booted off YouTube, and they were channels with like 2 million subscribers.
Yeah, that's
So
insane. And then now, like you said, there's Serbian film being fucking shown on YouTube, and that's fine.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know how it works. It's just the way, I guess the times have changed. So that's why most things have changed. And I guess YouTube is part of that for sure.
Well, I've kind of started moving over to I don't know if you've ever been on Rumble, rumble.com. All like that,
No,
like crazy. If you go all the crazy conspiracy stuff that you want to watch, a lot of it is over on Rumble.
I got to
I
check
would
it out.
think I'd say BitChute, but BitChute is just a dog shit website. BitChute is just yeah, I can't even use the site. It just doesn't work for me. That was kind of an alternative to YouTube, but the thing that the problem with these alternative websites to YouTube, they're just not as smart. They haven't got the money invested in them. The search engines are terrible.
Yeah.
That's the reason why YouTube has stayed king. It's like you know all the biggest stars, all the biggest creators on YouTube. If there was a genuine alternative which worked well, they may consider going over, but it's just not happening. YouTube is just YouTube. It's it's kind of
It's
good.
very user friendly too.
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, YouTube can
Like
instinctively kind of know.
look at some like 80, 80, 90 year old women and men and stuff that are on YouTube. It's very
Yeah,
user friendly. And I think that's the
it,
reason that it's just stayed as king for all these years and just
it's
became as big as it did.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Dan says nothing's too big to fail, and I agree. I mean, YouTube is not immune to it, I'm sure, but it's just something would have to come along to really rival YouTube and be as user friendly and be.
Yeah.
To me, it's like the thing that you for YouTube is the search engine is just so works so well. It's like whatever you want to find with a
Yeah.
couple of words, it just knows what to find. Like the
Yeah.
most random obscure video on YouTube, I can put in like a couple of keywords, and it just seems to find
Yeah.
it.
It pops. It just finds it. Pops it right up.
And it's really good at recommending stuff that I actually want to watch as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It
It happens all
kind
the
of
time. Your sidebar gets filled with stuff like, oh shit, that's something I want to watch. Oh, that too, and stuff. And then before you know, you forget half of it, and you don't get to see them. That happens all the time. But they're great at keeping track of what you enjoy watching and recommending content like that. And just like you said, like the search engine is great. It's user friendly. Like I don't see anything coming around anytime soon that's gonna take over and YouTube's gonna fall. I just don't see it happening.
I mean, yeah, certainly not for the foreseeable future, but maybe one day. But by that point, will we want it to fail? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, exactly,
imagine
exactly.
a situation. We've been like trying to build our channels over like 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden
it
YouTube's
just
gone. It's like oh
crumbles. Yeah,
shit. It's like
YouTube headquarters have been blown up. Shit,
yeah.
man, 5 years I've been trying. Yeah, can't get a break. And Dan, that's awesome. You said it's one of the goriest films made the past few decades. Awesome. That's all I
Yeah.
want from a Terrifier movie.
I mean, I don't want him to go into detail, but has Dan seen the film? Did he say he's seen it? I'm guessing he's seen it.
I, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
He said he interviewed
I'm
him,
just,
but I don't know if he saw it.
I'm just wondering
He did, yeah.
whether he thinks it's a better film than the original. Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
so Dan, you don't have to spoil anything, but do you think it's a better film than the original? 'Cause, I mean, I wasn't a massive fan of the first film. I mean, I just I, I'm not really a big massive. I mean, I'm not really into the whole torture porn thing. I like horror
Yeah.
movies, but I don't really. I've never been a fan of like gore for gore's sake. I like the more like sort of fun, gory movies of the '80s than some of the more recent
Yeah,
stuff.
like it's not hyper realistic.
Yeah,
Like it still looks good. Like I like some of my favorite effects are from the 80s. And I know what you mean. Like it doesn't it looks
it,
good,
it
but it's
yeah,
not like but you still know that it's an effect. Like it
yeah.
doesn't look hyper realistic or
It,
anything like that.
it doesn't really feel like it's, it's like sadistic too.
Yeah.
It's just it's still people getting murdered, but it's just in a fun sort of like,
80s way.
fun 80, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you can still do that in a modern film, but it's sometimes when the whole torture porn sort of genre sort of like really took off in the 2000s, I kind of checked out a little bit. I was just kind of like thinking it's like I mean, I do like the original. I think it was Hostel 2, which I
Mhm.
like the original Hostel. Hostel 2, I think it's well shot, it's well made. But it's just like there's a scene like, where she's in the bath and she just like slices the girl's
I
throat.
knew I knew you were gonna say that.
Like, it's like that's I mean, that's quite a disturbing scene and it's
Oh yeah.
gory. Like, I like the gore's great, but I don't really get any sort of like enjoyment out of it. I don't,
Yeah.
when you
Well,
watch
it's like
those
when you
80s
brought up
when you watch those 80 slashes, it's kind of it's a kind of when you're a kid, you're cheering them on. You're
oh
cheering
yeah.
the with a film like Hostel, you're not cheering the killer on, the killer's on. You
Yeah.
know, you kind of your sympathy is with the
Yeah,
I'd
with the
say the good
victims
guys.
and what you're seeing brutally happen to them.
Yeah,
Like it's like how can you not feel for these people unless you're
yeah.
just like a psychopath too? But
But when you
I get what you're saying. Same with like what you brought up with a Serbian film. Like
yeah,
I've seen that movie a few times. It's not a movie I enjoy, like by any means, but it's actually a very well made movie. Like the way it's shot, the way the cinematography, like just the editing, it's not a bad movie, like from a technical standpoint. But it's not a movie I enjoy at all, or like would go back to, hey, let's watch a Serbian film. Like it's just not one of those movies for me.
so Dan's saying it's very long, which seems really, really strange for a
It's like 2.5 hours or something. I
what?
have
Can't be.
you
Can't be that long.
my main the guy that I've been following for years, my favorite horror channel. I talk to him and shit. He can't. I think he can't review it till the third, right, Dan? Because he's my friend saw it. He said
It's
same
it's
thing. He said it was very long, like 2.5 hours or
o
close to it or something like that.
over 2 hours long for a slash. That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, that does sound fucking excessive. But
I mean,
if
anything over 90 minutes
the
anything over
violence
90
is
minutes
oh yeah, for a
sorry.
slasher, over 90 minutes is too long usually for the most part,
Especially a cinema.
unless it has an actual plot that's more than like a killer just going around and killing people.
There's gonna
Like
have
if
to be
that's
a
just
lot
the plot,
of there's gonna have to be a lot of build up for the main characters where you're actually gonna
yeah.
be really invested in them because you can't have a film a slasher film over 2 hours long where he's just killing multiple that's just the charm's gonna wear off very quickly.
Oh
A
yeah, that's
film like
why
that,
90 minutes is perfect for almost all slasher films because that's all you need really. You don't need character development in most of these
yeah,
movies, so you can just wipe that right out, and you're just left with 90 minutes to do your thing and make all these cool kills, and that's all you really need is 90 minutes for a slasher film. Unless, like I said, unless it has like more of a intricate or complex or fleshed out plot than just your standard killer is going around and knocks off person one by one and the end. That's the only time I could see a slasher film going over 90 minutes, like warranted. Besides that, there's really no need for that. But if they're going that excessive with the violence and the gore and everything with the Terrifier 2, I can see them going excessive with the length too. And if it's good though, I won't mind it because I actually really love the first movie. It kind of gave me the same feeling almost that Hatchet did when Hatchet came out. Because when Hatchet came out, everybody was fucking psyched with that. And it's like, oh, we're getting like this 80s throwback slasher film and with all practical effects and crazy deaths and kill scenes and stuff. And like that, it was really big when like Hatchet first came out, like for slasher fans especially. This when Terrifier came out, I kind of felt the same way. Like it was like this reminds me a little bit of how it was when Hatchet came out. That it's like, and I can't think of any other like from the 2000s forward horror icons like villains except for Victor Crowley and Art the Clown.
Yeah, it's
Like I really can. Like if someone in the chat knows like another like slasher icon of the 2000s going forward that's
well, I
been
mean,
in like more than one movie.
well, the obvious one would be obviously Jigsaw, but he's not really.
Yeah, that's
No,
why I
he's
said
not. It's not really. It's not really the same thing. The way the whole movie's set up, he's not really a killer in per se. He puts people in situations, offers them a way out. But he's probably one of the most. He's probably one. But in the 2000s, he's probably and just the little thing on the bike. That's kind of
oh yeah,
synonymous
yeah,
with,
Billy
you know
the
what I mean?
Pup. Yeah, Billy the Puppet's
But
iconic at this point.
I think with Art the Clown, it's great that you've got this excessively violent movie being released to the mainstream. But the only problem with it is you could probably have had a really iconic um, villain going forward into the next incident, going forward from when it was released, going forward into towards the end of this decade. But it's so excessive, it's so violent, it's so gory and it's shot on a lower budget that you
Yeah,
can't really. It's
it's
never going
not
to
gonna.
carry over to the mainstream. Art the
Yeah,
Clown with a bigger budget and less fight, and a lot. It would probably a lot of people would probably say, "Well, I want an ultra violent movie with Art the Clown." But in terms of what's best for horror movies, what's best for keeping horror movies in the mainstream, keeping them in box office
oh
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
cinema, a film with a character, an Arthur Clown character, where it's scaled down a little bit
yeah.
with a
Scaled
bigger
down to like
budget.
Michael
Yeah,
Myers
yeah. You
levels,
could,
like
you could,
Halloween movies and stuff.
yeah, you could be sitting on a gold mine there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Well,
mean,
it's
we always need more like iconic villains in our horror movies and slashers especially. That's why I brought it up because like those are the only two I can think of in the last 22 years. Really, the last real iconic one you have is what Ghostface, which I've said it many times on my channel. I'm not a fan of Scream at all, and he's not even a serial killer really because it's a different killer every fucking movie. So you can't even call him really an iconic slasher. It's a different person every movie, or two different people. So I can't even count him really. So it's like from like the mid '90s going forward. Like we do not have a lot of iconic slasher villains.
I mean, they kind of, the collector. I think it was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
collector.
that was those were
They
good
kind
movies.
of they were meant to be making a third one of those
Yeah,
films.
third one they were supposed to make. I don't know what happened with that.
I think it's a bit too long now. That was, I mean, that you go back 15 years now for I think the first collector.
No, with saying that, like going back to Zombie, that's what happened with Three from Hell. I didn't care
Yeah.
for Three from Hell at all because it was just too late. Like if he was going to make a third movie in that universe with the Fireflies, it should have been done at least a decade ago. Like when Sid Haig was still healthy and he could have played more than a 4-minute role in the movie, and it was way too late for like a third movie. Especially when Devil's Rejects ended, great. Like with the whole Freebird scene, they get shot and killed, perfect end. To then want to make a third one like 14, 15 years later, it just didn't work. And
Yeah, because he made was it 31, that clown movie, which
yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I mean,
Yeah,
that would have been, he could have made. I mean, that was like 2015, 2016.
Something like that sounds right.
He could have probably fitted Free from Hell in at that time, and just, I mean, the, the whole. I mean, Free from Hell. I don't hate the film, but yeah, the way they just introduced is it like the brother or whoever the guy is, who's the guy from 31. He just gets brought in
Yeah,
random.
yeah. What's his name?
They've just they've got
Right.
this other. They've just got like another family member who's a complete and utter lunatic serial killer. Just
Like,
happens to have another family member.
was it
who's
Richard
completely
Richard
insane.
Brake? Right? Was his name?
That's
Was
it.
it Richard Brake?
Yeah, Richard
Yeah.
Brake. Yeah.
And I like
Just-
him. I think he's a great actor. Yeah, I think he was the best part of 31, even though I really, really didn't like that movie. I think he was the best part of it. Like I highly enjoy watching him perform in movies. Laid to Rest.
Yeah, Laid to Rest. Yeah, they. I've not seen the sequel. I've not seen Chrome Skull. I've seen Laid to Rest. That was a fun
Yeah,
time.
I haven't seen Chrome Skull either. I've heard of it. I never got around to seeing it.
Chris is in the chat. What's up, Chris? If you want to jump on, man, the link
Hey, Chris.
is in the comments somewhere. If you scroll back up, I know you're working. Chris is working in a Halloween store. Like, how cool is that? That's why he's. I think he's been a bit busy tonight. He's obviously getting busy time now. Obviously, the whole. I get so jealous of, like, because in the States you actually have like Halloween specific stores.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Oh, you don't
not-
over there?
It's just not a big deal. No, it's just not a big deal in the UK. We do have it. We do celebrate Halloween, but not to the level that you do.
Yeah.
People probably start decorating the houses about 4 or 5 days before.
Yeah.
Not
No,
like-
yeah. Here they start selling Halloween shit like like at the beginning of September, middle of September.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, it is an American. I mean, it originated in America, right? It's that's
Yeah,
the origin.
well, isn't it? I forget where. Isn't it pagan or Celtic that originates?
Well,
it's Celtic.
Well, it's
Samhain.
well, yeah, but I think in terms of like how it became a big deal, it pretty much it started off in the States and then came back to Britain.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, it was never like I think it was never a big deal here, and then I think it became. I'd love to know when trick or treating started. Like what
Yeah,
what
like
year?
when it became like the holiday that we know it is
Yeah.
today.
I've no. So someone in the chat will tell me. Like, at what point in the States, especially, did people start trick or treating? Because it was kind of like big in the UK, and when I was a kid in the 80s, Halloween was like a big thing, and it kind of dropped off in the 90s.
Yeah.
Just it wasn't as big a thing. But then I think when obviously the internet kind of took over and like social media,
Yeah.
everything became influenced again by like America, and so it started to become a big thing again.
Well,
So,
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, just look at how many things changed and spread information with the internet when it came. I mean, it's a totally different fucking world now. Like I remember back in like even with cell phones and stuff. Like I remember back in middle school, if you liked a girl or something, like you had to call the house and you had to like talk to their parent and be like, "Can I speak to whatever her name is?" And all right and stuff like no kids have to deal with that anymore. They're never gonna know what that's like. They got the internet, they got cell phones, they can just text away. Like there's so many things that I mean, it's a lot easier with the technology we have just to like gain information and stuff like this. You can learn about anything. You go on YouTube, you type in any subject, and you're going to find videos on it anywhere on the internet too. But I don't know. I just feel like it was a lot more simple back then. I don't know if it was just because youth is good and now I'm getting older and you're fucked. But like, I don't know. I just feel like maybe it's just nostalgia for being younger. But I feel like technology is getting a little too much.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
I think, you know, I'm 40. I've just turned 46, so
I just
I
turned
mean,
34 on the 20th.
oh, you're like kind of like a 90s kid, right? Like a
I
90s
was
kid.
born in '88. Yeah, so
Yeah.
like most of
So
my childhood, yeah, was in like the '90s.
early 90s. So still before that whole internet. Because let's face it, the internet has been around since the mid 90s, but the average man on the street didn't have good internet until the mid 2000s. You know,
Yeah.
so I mean, because I mean, I think I first got introduced to the internet in about 2000, but it was shit. It was just shit because it was like
Oh yeah.
dial.
I
So I was just like,
remember Windows 95, using Windows 95 and the dial-up modem, and just yeah, it was nobody. I don't think anyone could have predicted back then with Windows 95, or even like the old Apple computers and stuff, like when it was just called Apple, like that it would turn into what we have today. Like I don't think anybody could have imagined the scale that the internet would have grown to. Like back in that day, with just using a computer with Windows 95 and a dial-up modem.
did you have it like so when you were a kid when with the dial up? So if you were on the internet on the computer, if people couldn't use the landline phone,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it was kind of like if they wanted to make a phone call on the landline, if you were
Yep.
on the internet, you had
You
to
would get
turn
you
it
would get the annoying tone and stuff when you pick the phone up, and
yeah,
then you'd have to take
yeah.
a break from the internet and stuff so the person could make a phone call. Yeah, it was fucking crazy. Like when you think about it now, looking back on it, like with how things are today. But yeah, that's how it was.
I've just one of my I remember like when we first got the internet. I mean, I was like old when we first got it because I think I was like 20. I was like 25, and at this point, I was still living with my parents.
Hmm.
I'd moved out about probably the following year, but it's just Dan will appreciate this one, being like a big fan of smut. One of the first things I did as soon as we got the internet, I think one of my first searches was Jenna Jameson. I was like, yes, come on, internet porn. You know what I mean? It was just one of those, you know, because like you know, a childhood of like you know, just the closest thing you'll get to porn was like like magazines.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
this opportunity to just go on the internet and just find all these like pictures of naked women.
Oh yeah, and now
And
you
like,
can't go
yes,
back to magazines, fucking, with
and then
all
it,
the crazy
yeah,
shit there is nowadays.
and then I think one of the first searches I ever did was Jenna Jameson, and I think like the second search I ever did was how do I delete my search history?
Yeah, I remember that. Now it's just like you don't give a shit. Fucking, I really don't give a fuck who sees my fucking search history. But I remember I was just watching what was it the other like a few weeks ago? Would You Rather with Jeffrey Combs, and Sasha Grey is in that, and that
Yeah,
brought back some fucking memories, man. Like
yeah.
I remember typing her name in back when the internet was like at the point that you were just talking about. History of trick or treating is less definitely chronicled. But
Even
yeah, you
just
were
like,
saying
even just like at
it
what
was
point
pagan.
it doesn't even have to be like even just at what point did Americans start doing it on on some sort of like you know level where it was just you know pumpkins in front of houses and I'm just curious because obviously you know Halloween is the first movie. I mean, what's the first movie actually? That's an interesting question. What is the first movie? Not necessarily horror. What's the first movie that like
Show
been
trick or treating.
referenced? Sorry.
To show trick or treating.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
No, I'm
Oh
saying
yeah, yeah, so, yeah, 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 yeah,
that's what you're
yeah.
gonna ask, right?
Sorry, yeah, sorry. Yeah. So, what is one of the earliest movies to like even reference Halloween as an actual event? You know,
Yeah, it's a holiday like we know it. I have no clue.
I mean,
Someone in chat, you got access to Google right now. Find out.
literally before, like you've got you've got Halloween from '78, but I can't think of a horror movie before that which actually has any reference to, to Halloween in the film, unless I'm being really
Yeah,
stupid.
actually,
Can't
I
think
can't. I can't really think
all
of
the
any either.
all the iconic movies that I'm up, from pre '78.
Yeah,
They don't really reference Halloween in any way.
no, I'm actually like trying to think hard right now. I actually really can't think of any movies either.
Just waiting for Dan and Lorne to come back with an answer.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, certainly, certainly would be nothing from the UK. I mean, have you ever seen? I've just recommendations for October. Have you ever seen Ghostwatch from '92?
Um, no, but I saw that you did a stream
Yeah,
about it, right?
yeah. I would definitely recommend watching that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I'll watch it.
as close to Halloween as possible.
All right,
I don't know who's streaming
that's
it.
the plan.
I don't know if anyone's streaming it. And you can buy the Blu-ray
I'll
is going to
find
be,
it.
but yeah, I mean, you might hate it, you might love it. I can't guarantee. It's
Yeah,
very, very sort of you have to know you have to know going in what it is.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
but
So
yeah,
I'm always looking for new movies. So I know Lauren mentioned Slasher the other one on the stream that we were on last. I can't remember what it is now. I could just rewatch it and find out. But he mentioned some slasher that just came out recently and said, "You want a good slasher?" I forgot what he fucking said it was called.
well, I mean, I'll put this out there now because I've already scheduled it. If you're available, you're available. Hopefully, going towards the end of October, live commentaries for Haunt, which I'm assuming you've seen these films.
Yeah, Haunt I've seen.
Yeah,
Haunt was all right.
yeah, Hell House LLC
I love Hell House.
and Hellfest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All three of those sound good.
Yeah, sort of like in the build up to Halloween, live commentaries for that because I just think they're like, even though they're all like relatively new films, they're kind of like quintessential like
Oh yeah,
Halloween movies for me
they
already.
especially I mean Hell House LLC got really popular.
Yeah,
Like
it's
even like outside of the found footage like fans and the genre and stuff. Like I know a lot of people who don't like found footage at all, but they love the first Hell House. Like
I mean,
there's something, and it's a great movie. It really is. Like it's suspenseful. There's some creepy fucking stuff in that movie, and the characters mostly are likable. Like yeah, the dickhead, I forget his name, Alex or whatever, the main dude who like owns the company.
yeah.
I don't care for his character at all because I mean he's portrayed to be an asshole, so like you kind of don't need to like him. But even the second movie, like the Abaddon Hotel, like the sequel to it, I like the second one quite a bit. The third one, I don't care for at all.
I mean,
Like the
I actually,
fire, I think it was called.
yeah. I mean, I like actually. I mean, the first one's the best of the bunch. I mean, I actually
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
third one maybe slightly more than two, actually. But I mean, I don't think there's a weak. I mean, I don't think one is a classic for me. I think two
yeah.
and three are still solid movies. I think the entire trilogy is just, they didn't really the drop off from one to two to two to three. I don't think is that bad. It's. I think two and three, if they were standalone films, you'd probably appreciate them a little bit more. Maybe it's just like the first movie is such a high bar
Oh
that
yeah, it's exactly
you
that.
can't go
To
to it.
follow it up with two movies, two sequels, and
Yeah,
expect it to stay at that same level of quality, it doesn't happen that often. But they were supposed to make a TV show or a series about revolving around Hell House. I don't know whatever happened to that. I don't know if it's still in the works or if they canceled it or I don't know. But I know that they were talking about like making a series out of it, which I would actually enjoy seeing that. Like depending, that they did it well and everything, but like seeing the Abaddon Hotel like in a series and like the ideas they can come up with for that can be interesting. But I don't know what happened with it.
I love Hellfest as well. I mean, I think
Yeah,
Hellfest.
that's a movie I haven't seen probably since it came out. But I remember that I did like it. I don't remember much actually about Hellfest, so that'll be a fun
It's just,
rewatch.
it's just such. The characters are the likable characters. I don't remember any of the characters being particularly dickish. You know, they're just like the killers kind of got like. I would say it's like it's not an iconic look, but it's good enough. It doesn't look, you know, some of these films. You think,
Oh yeah, the killers look terrible.
yeah, I like the way he kind of mingles in with because you've got multiple people with the same mask on, so it kind of
Yeah,
like
that I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, now you're jogging my memory on it. I gotta, yeah, that'll be a fun rewatch then.
and I really enjoy the final scene as well. You know, where he just goes home. He's just like a normal. He's like a dad, just like an
Yeah,
every.
yeah.
And the kid, he just goes out. That's what he does. He just goes out, kills a few people, goes home, goes back to his kid. He's just like a
That's right.
normal guy.
That's right. Now I remember that because it reminds me of Dexter, of
Yeah,
what the hell's his name? Of Arthur Mitchell. What the hell's the actor's name? Why can't I think of his name? You know who it is.
yeah.
It's
I can't remember.
having him when they were following him around. Dexter was following him around, and then finds out that he has a family and has kids and stuff. Oh, it reminded me of that. So yeah, that'll definitely be a cool rewatch. Actually, watching Hellfest again. I don't, like I said, I don't think I've seen it since it came out. And when did that come out? That wasn't
It's
like too long ago.
2018.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
like 5 years.
Yeah. Anthony mentions the houses October built, which
Yeah, it's a good one.
yeah, I really like that.
I like that movie.
I think it's got two names. I think it's got a name. See, I always thought that was the UK name and it had a different name in the US.
No, same name. Yeah.
Is it? Maybe
There's a sequel they made to it too. But
yeah.
I don't think I've seen the sequel actually. But the first one I really enjoyed.
I've not seen the sequel. I really like the first film. But
Yeah.
Darren's in the chat as well. What's up, Darren? I second what Lauren said about Frenzy in Venice. It's a really cool slasher film. I've no idea what that is. I'll have to
No.
Google that.
House of Halloween. Oh, the Houses of Halloween is the UK title.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought the UK had a different title. I don't know why they do that.
I was just going to say the same thing, especially with like the slashers from the 80s. They used to do that all the time. But back then they used to do it because they wanted to sneak the movie back into theaters. After it got kicked out after a little bit of like, all right, we're not playing this no more. After they like 6 months later, a year later, they put it back in under a different name. Like look at so many, like Blood Rage was called Nightmare at Shadow Woods. And then when you watch the actual cut of Blood Rage, even the title card is different. It says Slasher. So it's like had 3 names to it. And like so many of those movies did the same thing back then, just to get into the theater as much as they can.
I've actually got a little bit of an issue with cinema releases in the UK at the minute because you guys have got Pearl a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. That's why I want to see X, so then I can watch Pearl right after that.
Yeah, we're not even getting Pearl in cinemas at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So literally, everyone's talking about it online. You know, everyone like in our little sort of community as well, talking about Pearl, and it's hard to avoid spoilers as well. But it's not getting a UK cinema release, so I'm kind of like just waiting now for it to come to streaming. But
I mean,
I'm already getting.
It's always been hard for you guys in the UK. I mean, look at the whole fucking video nasty shit.
Yeah, but
I mean, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, that whole situation. But I mean, it happened, and it was a big fucking thing. Like they were like fining video store owners just for having the movies there.
Yeah,
like, that's crazy.
in recent years now, we've been getting most of the big releases the same time as the States.
Yeah.
Occasionally, even like a day or two before. But it's like because I really want to see Barbarian.
Yeah, me
Um,
too. I haven't
yeah,
seen it yet.
yeah. So we don't get that till 28th of October, and
Oh, okay.
it's already out. It's already out in the States, and we've got to wait a month. So,
Yeah.
and it's one of those movies where you really don't want to go into it knowing too much. But it's going to be
Yeah.
difficult for me because anytime somebody's streaming, if I watch like the guys, like Dan streaming or Corey, whoever's talking, if they start talking about that film, I'm gonna have to probably check out and just stop watching because I
Yeah,
don't
no,
want to.
I know what you mean.
I don't want to know. I
It's
don't
a,
want to know.
it's a tough situation to be in because you
Yeah,
don't want to know, but you're not going to just bail and stuff from watching
yeah.
content you like watching and stuff.
No,
But
yeah, it
I
is.
mean,
It is.
I
It's,
ignored Bloodborne, the video game, like since I'm such a big Dark Souls fan. I didn't have a PlayStation 4 when that came out. I literally ignored everything about that game for 2 years until I had bought a PS4, and then I didn't really have anything. So that's how far I went to avoid spoilers, like for things. So I can avoid spoilers for the most part, but that is a different type of situation, like you mentioned, like being around people or watching people talking, then it comes up, and then it's like, shit, I don't really want to know this, but I'm not going to just leave because of it.
yeah. I'll probably start wrapping things up in the next 10 minutes. But because I put it in the thumbnail, and I always do this, I always do a thumbnail and then don't talk about what the things I put in the fucking
Yeah,
thumbnail. I did put Hellraiser. I put Hellraiser in the thumbnail, so I think like I should briefly talk about Hellraiser.
actually,
So
we can do it briefly because I'm
I
not a
mean,
big Hellraiser fan. So
I'm not. So like literally, I'm kind of glad you're not really because I did want to kind of criticize it a little bit.
yeah.
Um, one of the things I wanted to talk about really was it's like the amount of people like losing the shit over like this new Hellraiser trailer,
Yeah,
and I'm
the
thinking
female.
it's a 90-second trailer for a movie, and you've kind of seemed to have already decided that it's going to be really really good based on the fact that it doesn't look as shit as the previous three movies. It's as
Yeah.
if that's any sort of recommendation. I mean, I'm not a fan of the franchise anyway. I do like the first movie. I kind of like
Yeah.
the third film because
I
it's a
like
bit
I like the
stupid.
first two. I really enjoy. The third one's all right, and then that's it. I don't even think I've seen past like the fifth
No,
entry or something like that. I don't even think
I've
I've
not,
seen past.
I've not seen past fourth, but
Yeah,
it's like the amount of people who are like seem to be getting really excited for a film based on a 90-second trailer because it looks better than the previous three films. Which it's like for starters, you can't base a movie on a 90-second trailer anyway.
yeah.
Just because it looks well shot, it looks it's got a bit of like decent gore in it. I mean, who knows how? I mean, it's going straight to. Is it going straight to Hulu?
Yeah, I have no idea. That's what the last like what? How many Hellraiser movies are there now? I don't even know. There's like a dozen or something, right?
I don't know. Just think there's eight or nine, something
Yeah,
like that.
close to 10, something like that. And Bradley, he stopped playing Pinhead for a while, didn't he? It's been a few movies since Doug Bradley.
Yeah, he checked out
A while ago.
a
Yeah,
while ago, yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like a bit of a loyalty to Clive Barker because, like, Clive Barker, like, went to school about 10 minutes from my house. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
kind of like, he's kind of like in that little he kind of like in that Beatles area,
Okay.
He kind of like he went to school like right by John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and all that. But so I've got a bit of a loyalty for Clive Barker. I mean, I do like Nightbreed as well.
Nightbreed is great.
But
Nightbreed is a good movie.
but
And you got David
um,
Cronenberg acting in that, which he doesn't
yeah,
do a bad job either. Like acting in
no,
that, he did a good job. And I love
creepy,
Cronenberg.
creepy fucking mask in that film as well.
Yeah. That's a
But,
movie I got to do soon. I should rewatch that. I haven't seen Nightbreed in fucking a while.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, like, just briefly going back to Hellraiser. No, I mean, I'm just, yeah, I hope it's a cool for the people who are fans of the franchise. I hope it's a solid movie, just to bring it back to like the levels of the late '80s, early '90s. But I'm not entirely confident that it's going to be that.
I doubt it.
Really, I just think that's a franchise that is it's long past its sell-by date. I don't think
That's
any amount of reboots,
that's how
remakes.
I feel about Scream. I feel like that's way past its date. Like that, it should just be done. Like especially like how many slasher franchises we know and stuff that have the same killer every time? Yeah, but how many do you know that with the same girl or person who
Yeah,
survived the what like 6 massacres? Now it's going to be like with the 6th movie come out. Like this
yeah.
woman has the worst fucking luck of anyone on the planet. Like she's been
Well,
through all these movies, events. It's just got to end. I've never, like I said, I never cared for even the first one. Like that, there's a few things in it. I love the opening with Drew Barrymore. I actually think one of the most clever things in that movie is having Jamie Kennedy's character watching Halloween saying, "Look out, Jamie, he's behind you," and the killer was behind Jamie Kennedy's character. I think that's clever as shit. That might be one of my favorite things about Scream. And so that's like saying something. Like, and the sequels just never did anything for me.
I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why I think franchises do end up rebooting and remaking. It's because you get to the point where it becomes almost like parody. And Scream, like we're talking like so if Scream 6 drops next year, you're talking 27 years between the first movie and
Yeah.
Scream 6. Now, I can't think of a franchise which has gone on that long where it's been a continuous succession of films without reverting to a reboot. You know, if you look
Yeah.
at Halloween, if you look at like Child's Play, Friday the 13th, they've gone so far and then they've reversed it back because you just can't keep on doing.
Well,
It gets
I
it
know.
gets.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But Child's Play, though, it's that's one of my favorite horror franchises. Is Child's Play. I love every entry except the remake. I did not like it at all. Everything Don Mancini does is fucking brilliant, in my opinion. But that's one franchise that kept the same storyline going and still is with the TV series and everything. Like if you just exclude the remake,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
that's one whole cohesive story from beginning to end. I mean,
I did
it's
like the
not
TV
it's not
show.
100% cohesive and stuff. Like it's crazy stuff that doesn't make sense, but it's one whole storyline from the very first movie to now the second season coming out next month of the series.
I'm actually looking forward. I'm really looking forward to the second season.
No, me too. I loved the first season. I thought it was great.
It was. I did have a few issues, but it was like you know what for a show that wasn't streaming on like a big. I mean, I don't know what like wasn't it just like on a normal TV
Yeah, it
channel?
was on Sci-Fi in USA.
Yeah, which is not like anything to
Yeah,
collect
yeah,
Netflix.
exactly. It's like you
And
would have thought they would have brought it to a streaming service like that.
it looked really good. It was well acted. It had likable characters.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I like
I
how
really
Chucky looked in it, like his
yeah.
look and everything. I like that. I liked everything about it. Really, there was very few things that I didn't care for in that first season. And now that we know that Jennifer Tilly's going to be back and everything, and Glenn and Glenda are supposedly coming back, which I love Steve Chucky. I don't give a shit what people say. I'm gonna like, and I'll never understand the people who will love Bride of Chucky, but then shit all over Seed Chucky because they're the fucking same type of movies. Like the same tone to them. I mean, Seed does go a lot more crazy, but it's still in that same type of craziness that Bride is in, just like amped up a bit. But I love everyone in the franchise. Like that's one of the few franchises that has never disappointed me. Like with Evil Dead. That's another one. Every single thing about Evil Dead, there's never been a bad entry for me. From the first 3 movies, the remake is one of my favorite remakes of the 2000s going forward, and the video game's awesome actually, and Ash vs. Evil Dead was a great show. Like, they have yet to fail until this next one comes out, which I don't know what to even expect for it.
Yeah, that might disappoint.
The Northman. I haven't seen The Northman yet.
No, I've not seen it. I need to watch it. It's had really good reviews.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, I definitely want to check up. I mean, I've literally got so much stuff to watch, which I've not caught up on yet from like the last 12 months, but still trying to catch up with a lot of stuff from like the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah, me too. I got to plug my computer in quick. Got to switch rooms. But yeah, I haven't caught up with new things in a while now. Especially since starting my channel. Because now I've just been focused on
watching old movies.
Yeah, like watching my favorites and like requests from people, and most of them were stuff I've seen already. So like I've been focusing mostly on that.
He's gone. Blue Skeleton. I've missed the chat of it. What is Blue Skeleton was the sequel to Witch Anthony? I've seen the comment, but I'm not sure what it's referring to. Is JT coming back? He's going to come back, and I'm just going to be basically saying, well, I'm going to wrap things up now. So, screenings for the new year, that's really good as well. Listen, JT, I don't know whether I feel really bad now because I'm going to wrap things up. So, if JT, if he's watching now, trying to jump back on, I'm going to wrap things up because I was going to wrap things up anyway. So, for everyone who jumped on tonight, thank you so much. Everyone in the chat, really appreciate it. I will be back next Tuesday. Be next Tuesday, I'm assuming, with another live stream. JT might join me again for that. But for everyone who jumped in tonight, thank you so much. Thank you, JT. And I will see you guys later.